Mike Groux.
Hey.
How you doing, buddy?
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you again,
Thanks
mate.
for having me back.
Yeah, you're the first guy to do the second podcast with Peak.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. We've done about 7 or 8 since January when we did yours.
It's been that long?
It has, mate. Yeah.
Wow.
Time flies, mate. Time
It really
flies.
does.
What have you been up to, buddy?
Well, flying. No pun intended. I'm leaving Thailand tomorrow.
Wow.
Starting training in the States for 6 weeks.
Okay.
About 6 weeks. So I'll have to adjust again to living in the Western lifestyle. But it's wintertime there, so I'm kind of looking forward to getting back a little bit. Spend some time catching up with friends and family. And then when I'm done with 6 weeks training, I'll be back in Thailand doing the same thing. But I'm looking forward. It'll be a nice break from being here too long.
Okay. How long have you been in Thailand for?
Just shy of 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're moving back to the States with the same carrier or a different carrier?
Different. So I'm leaving AirAsia, which is based here in Thailand in Southeast Asia, and I'm going to American Airlines. And I used to be with American 5-6 years ago, so it's like I'm going back to the old company.
And why did you do that?
I'm a little tired of working with AirAsia.
You don't have to get too specific about it.
It was a contract job, so my contract's over.
Right.
But had they renewed it or given me the chance to stay full time, I probably still would have left. It's not a place where foreigners come and they stay too long. You kind of come here on a contract job and you make the money you want to make, and then you get the hours or the experience you need, and then you go to a better, on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
Just as a foreigner, the AirAsia itself is mismanaged. I just don't like the way the company's run.
Okay.
As a foreigner working for them, there's a lot of segregation. They treat Thai people differently than they do the foreigners. There's different rules and management philosophies that I don't agree with.
Happens everywhere, mate. In Thailand, I think it's the beast.
Yeah.
When you're working in an Asian country, there is that I wouldn't. Well, you could call it discrimination, really.
Right.
But you've got family. You got your mum out here, right?
I moved my mother out here last year. So she's 80 years old. She's retired. She's 80 years old. She was living in the States, by herself. Healthcare is just too expensive, private healthcare in the States. But here she lives, on her pension from the States. She lives well, she's got maids and caregivers taking care of her 24 hours. So the burden of that is off my shoulders. She's taken care of. So for me to leave, for me to have brought her here, but then I'm leaving again for 2.5 months or 3 months, or my schedule will be back and forth. It's something that I don't have to really worry about as I did when she was back in the States, because here she's got someone full time. She's taking care of her.
But she's just getting old. There's nothing.
There's nothing wrong with her. No. She's getting to that point.
Yeah, it's not a bad place for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I first got out here, and even when we had our Thai son here,
right.
What you find is that the home help that you get and the relative inexpensiveness of it is unrivaled anywhere in the world.
It really is. It really is.
And it helps you. It helps maintain a decent quality of life.
You have these people here that are working for less money, but will do. They're more charismatic about what their job that they're doing. Back in the States, you have somebody asks you for stupid money, but they're doing a half-assed job.
Yeah. Well, my dad in Australia is 86, and he has got he lives with my sister out the back of out of her property, self-contained bungalow. Really nice place. Council puts it up. They maintain it every year, so it's brand spanking new.
Right.
And it's fitted out with all the sort of elderly aids, showers and toilets and kitchen. And there's a nurse that goes around every week just to check up on him and things like that. Right. And but if you wasn't a pensioner and you needed to basically get that type of help at home, you'd be paying a fortune. And people just can't do it. Yeah. And I think it's a lot easier for families just to stick their old ones in homes.
Right. But even
that, sad.
Yeah, it's sad. And I don't know in Australia, in the States, it's just outrageous what homes cost.
Yeah.
You have to sell your whole life just to afford the nursing care.
Well, you do, and now what they do in Australia is they basically get you to mortgage assets or collateralize assets against the monthly payments. So
Right.
if you start defaulting on the monthly payments,
They got leverage against you.
they'll take you home,
That's crazy.
which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway, it is what it is. So she'll be okay. So how does she feel
She'll be okay.
emotionally with you leaving?
She's happy.
Oh,
She knows
good.
she's taken care of here. She's happy. She tells me every day she's got great help. She's treated like a queen here. And she knows at the end of the day, obviously my job is, my priority is to take care of her, but I still have to have a life. I still have to do my job or do what I have to do. So she's very supportive. She was all for the new job. She said, do it. You got to take it. You got to, you can make it work. Don't worry about me.
That's great,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So where are you going to be based in the States?
I'm going to be based in New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where do you originally come from?
Well, I was born in the Philippines.
Right.
But went to New York when I was, less than a year old. So
Okay. So you're a New Yorker?
I'm a New Yorker. Yeah, I'm an American. Yeah, New Yorker. My mom came to the States when she was 30.
Okay.
She's 80 now. Dad came from Switzerland.
Okay.
Came to the States when he was 35, 40.
So Swiss Filipino.
Swiss Filipino American. And
Gee.
I have 3 passports, 3 citizenships.
Wow. And you got EU citizenship.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So American, EU.
Yep, and Philippines.
Gee.
Yeah.
The American, the Swedish, handy.
I'll never give those up.
Yeah.
I'll
I'm not
never
sure
give
about the
those up.
Philippines ones at the
It's
moment.
garbage.
But,
It's like having a Thai passport.
yeah.
You can't really do much with it.
No.
So many restrictions. But the Swiss passport, I would probably say, is just as valuable, if not more, than the American passport. It's Switzerland is always neutral. They never seem to have when shit's going crazy all over the world. The financial crisis or everything. Switzerland always seems to be in like a safe haven.
Well, it's normal.
People always have jobs there.
Yeah.
There's no. Yeah.
It's an amazing sort of region, that Scandinavian region. You've got Switzerland, Sweden, Norway.
Yeah.
They all seem to always weather
Yeah.
any storm, right?
Right.
It's amazing. But taxes are fairly high there, and I think the governments are fairly well grounded.
Taxes are high.
Taxes are very high. I think
Yeah.
in Sweden it's about 60%.
Is it that high?
Yeah.
Well, what about in Australia?
Well, I think the top marginal rate in Australia is personal rates about 35, maybe 40,
Okay.
I think.
You were just back there last week.
Yeah, I went for 3 weeks.
Okay.
We launched...
It was that long? 3 weeks?
Sorry?
It-
Yeah,
God, it seems
Flew.
so fast. Yeah.
flew. It was 3 weekends and 2 sort of weeks.
Right.
So it's probably a lot longer than what it seemed.
Right.
And we, the purpose of the trip was actually to launch Peak in Australia. We had a brilliant time. We did 4 or 5 podcasts. We went on a couple of training courses.
Great.
We bought an absolute shitload of apparel and gear. I found out, funnily enough, I discovered something that when we were at hockey training this morning, I walked around the shopping centre and I asked a number of different stores like Northern Face,
Right.
Kathmandu, Columbia, some sports stores, whether or not I've got this type of apparel, and none of them had it.
Right.
And what it is, it's merino sheep, and they make everything from it, from beanies to socks to underwear to track pants to t-shirts, and it feels magnificent.
Okay.
You just don't know you're wearing wool.
Right.
Now, some of the wool that you wear and you start getting itchy?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing like that.
No itchiness.
No itchiness. They've got a very, very little blend of nylon.
Okay.
And that's purely because they've had some issues with it getting holey with overuse. So they've technologically applied nylon to the wool fibre. And this has taken 3 or 4 years to do, funnily enough.
Amazing.
And so what they do is they've made them very durable, and they stay hot in the cool and cool in the heat.
Right.
And the beauty of it is you can do a workout in them, go home, aerate them for 20 minutes. You don't have to wash them. Aerate them for 20 minutes, and then wear them again, and they do not smell.
That's amazing.
Amazing. So I gave it a go.
Right.
And I bought some on the first or second Tuesday I was there. I wore them for 7 days. Right? Obviously, you've got to shower because if you smell, they'll smell.
But you didn't wash after you were done, you didn't wash them?
Just aerated them.
Okay.
Right? Sometimes indoors, sometimes outdoors.
Right.
And did not smell at all. The only reason I washed them was because when I packed them, they all got sort of messed up.
Right.
So I wanted to wash them and give them an iron. So I discovered that. So from now on, when I'm traveling for non-business, I'm actually going to go out, buy a couple more socks, a couple more underwear, a couple more trackies, a couple more tops, and I'm done.
What's the price? How expensive? What's a shirt going to set you back?
This is the downside. They're expensive.
Right.
Pair of underwear boxes cost $40,
Okay.
40 Australian. So that would be, what's that in US? It's 1,200 baht.
$35?
Yeah, so about 35 bucks US. Socks, about 15 US. Tracksuit was expensive, that was about 100 US.
Okay. So it's up there.
The hoodie was about 150 US.
Right.
But certainly worth the investment. Absolutely
Sounds like it.
Brilliant. So that was good. We did some podcasts with Steve Maxwell, personal trainer out of United States. You know Steve,
Yes.
I've talked a lot about him. Went to one of his breathing courses for a day. That was brilliant.
Nice. Now, do you still, when you go back home, do you still have property? You still have a home back in Australia?
I've got nothing back home. We've got a couple of condos for the kids that me and my ex-wife sort of bought, and they'll be sort of given to them on their 21st birthday. Right. And they're beautiful condos on the Yarra River, right downtown. But nothing else.
Right.
All I've got there really is a driver license. So
it's kind of like me in the States.
Yeah. The interesting part about Australia is if you own any material assets, you can actually get deemed or categorised as being a resident for tax purposes.
So, because you don't live there, you're not paying...
I've not paid tax in Australia I've not filed a tax return for 20 years.
Right.
And that's because I don't live there.
Right.
Okay. And I think you've got to live there for more than 180 days in 1 year to be able to qualify to then start paying tax.
Right.
However, if you live there for 30 days, like I went back for a 1 month trip,
Right.
But I've got a car, a rental property, a house,
Right.
dogs, all that, then they can deem me as being a resident
Because you have all...
because I have assets.
Right. Makes sense.
So, I mean, they'll try and get $1 out of you any which
Right.
way, mate. So, yeah. So, mate, interesting. We've had you on here twice.
Right.
And twice there have been 2 plane crashes within a week of you actually being on the podcast.
Right.
Very, very scary. I think we've just had some problem with the lighting here. Izzy, do you want to just check out the lighting, mate? Turn off? Yeah, there you go, mate. So we were, going back to the Australian trip, there's a shopping centre called DFO, Direct Factory Outlets, and it's where all the brands are, but there are discounted prices because they're out of season.
So one of the big shopping, outlet shopping.
Yeah, damaged goods, slightly damaged goods, but you get some crazy sales, so it's worth going. And I took my wife and a friend down there, dropped them off, and then went to work.
Right.
3 days later, an aeroplane crashed into the actual shopping centre.
Yeah. Saw
So,
it on the news.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Unbelievable.
What happened?
Well, from my understanding, it was a chartered flight. So a couple had booked a plane to fly somewhere, I believe on a golfing trip, golfing expedition.
They were going from Essendon to King Island.
Correct. So it was just a leisure, it wasn't a business trip.
No.
They booked this charter jet. showed up at the airport, got on the plane, they took off. Just after takeoff, the pilot radioed back to the control tower saying he had engine issues. It's still unclear, and I was trying to get all the reports and trying to filter out what engine problems he was talking about. But apparently he didn't have enough time to even figure out himself exactly what was going on with the engines. They both failed, and it becomes a question of, I guess, experience, right? A pilot, technically a plane can fly without engines, right? A plane in motion can fly without engines, right? You can still land a plane safely if you lose your engines, right? You could technically glide down. So again, it's all a question of his altitude, his airspeed, the weather conditions, the wind speed, what really went wrong after he realized the engines were down, right? How he lost control of the plane. Did he do something wrong that he thought he should have, did he make a wrong move? Or was it just bad, everything was working against him and he couldn't do anything? The plane just plummeted, and you saw the video?
I saw it, yeah.
Yeah, fell out of the sky into the shopping mall. The mall that you were at 3 days ago.
3 days before the accident, yeah.
3 days before.
Well, it couldn't have been bad weather, mate, because I remember...
No, yeah, it was sunny. It was when I mean bad weather, so it could be a perfectly beautiful day, sunny weather. It is a beautiful day, but then, all the factors come in. When you're 10, when anywhere from 5,000 up, weather conditions change. I mean, we could think it's beautiful. It is beautiful. But the winds could be an issue. Heat, of course, temperature. Planes that... If you look at any city that's, Bangkok, any big city that's in an area that has extreme heat, planes always need to take that into account. It takes them a longer time to get airborne because the pressure of the heat is so intense, right? So that's why you have places in the States, I know, flying in Phoenix or in parts of California, there's so much heat. Planes have to take that into account, that they're going to need a certain amount of runway length. How heavy is the plane, right? And it all goes into a factor. If the plane is too heavy or the pilot didn't calculate right, all that could play a role into what possibly could have happened here. Added the engine failure too.
Okay,
right.
Let's go back a step. Getting into a car, you turn your car, you got a key.
Right.
Now I understand planes don't have keys.
Right.
So you start your car and the engine runs. And you're driving off and the engine fails. Okay? So is that sort of an analogy that you can apply to a plane? The engines kick in, yeah. All the data that you've got on your dashboards looks fine.
Right. All the lights light out.
Yeah, takes off, and then all of a sudden fails.
Right.
So, what could have caused the engine? And I know you're speculating here.
Right.
There's a lot of factors, but and it was a small plane.
Correct.
Okay. What were some of the What could be some of the factors that would make both engines fail on takeoff to the point where it just then plummeted from a couple of thousand meters? I mean, this thing didn't
it wasn't full,
major altitude, right?
Right.
What are some of the factors?
Mechanical maintenance. It's going back to the analogy of a car for somebody to understand it. Your car needs to be maintained, right? Oil changes, check gaskets, check brakes, check the motor, fan belts, make sure all these components will make your car run smoothly, right? If you get into your car, you turn it on, you drive, and the engine stops running, or even if you get a warning light, right? Whenever that car was last serviced, right? From the time it left servicing to the next time it was on the road. Now, planes, cars, the frequency of servicing is obviously different, right? But something went wrong, or a mechanical part wasn't properly fixed, or a mechanical part was overlooked, or it could have been, how old the plane was, right? All this other stuff. But from my understanding, the plane was leased out from another company, from a third party. And then you have to go back, investigators will go back to this third party, this other company, and start investigating, maintenance logs, when was the last maintenance done, what was performed on it, what problems were found, were they fixed? All these questions will arise because if it is what it is, how it just looks now, just engine failure, mechanical issues, right? Then obviously a pilot can't control that. But so that's one issue. But then you have the other issue of what did the pilot do in order to lose complete control? Because even if the engines fail, again, you could still land, right? You still got your hydraulics, right? Which you could still level out the plane, right? It's like using your brakes.
Right.
If your engines in your car stops working,
right,
you should still be able to use your brake or a handbrake to stop the car, right?
Right.
If you lose hydraulics, then you have nothing.
But
then
could
you can't control it. Possibly.
Could there have been a scenario where there was, assume there was a mechanical failure, and that was either because of lack of maintenance or just something happened and it broke.
Right.
Okay. Or your hydraulics gave way.
Right.
Does that often happen?
It's a possibility.
And once that happens,
on bigger planes, on jetliners, there's backups, right? If a system fails, there's always another backup.
Yeah.
Right. Again, but on an older, smaller plane like this, it could be very well that there was no backup,
right,
and that when the engine failed, something else failed, and then triggered.
And it had a knock-on effect to everything.
Correct. Yeah. And then it also goes back to how experienced the pilot was. Was he? I don't know how experienced he was, how old he was, but when all these things start going wrong, how did he handle each step as it went away?
Yeah. He didn't look like a young guy. I mean, he looked like he had some flying time.
Right. Yeah, I saw the picture.
I couldn't tell you how much flying time he had, but he did look seasoned.
Right.
But again, going back to Donald Trump and what he said about Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Right. She may have 30 years experience, but it's bad experience.
Right.
So it's interesting. I mean, just because you've got some grey hair, it doesn't really mean that you're on top of the game, right?
No. As soon as he took off, he put in a Mayday call, like an SOS call. And after that, the radio silence kind of went. After you reported engine failure, there was no more communication.
So what's the purpose of the Mayday? Because I never really understand the Mayday thing. He took off.
Right.
He said Mayday,
right,
or he announced the Mayday call. You'd assume flight controllers would have received that.
Correct.
But then what does that really mean? I mean, what does that trigger? What actions?
Well, it puts everybody on high alert. So you have to put the Mayday call out, the distress call, but then you have to obviously tell what's going on.
Right.
So you put Mayday, right? Engine failure, right? Dual engine failure, single engine failure, whatever it is. This triggers a series of events that will prepare the controllers on the ground to properly handle the situation, depending on what the situation is. In this case, an engine failure. So it puts everybody on alert. Everybody knows that there's an engine failure, right? So now the airport team, the ground control will be aware there is a possibility the plane might have to come back, right? They'll already mentally start thinking we're gonna have to get emergency services ready.
Okay.
He might need an ambulance, fire trucks, everything. Clear the runway. How much incoming traffic is there coming out? We got to clear the space for him. They won't do it until the pilot tells them what to do.
Right.
But everybody's on alert now. So it's a warning. It's a notification.
Okay. So everyone's pretty much put on standby to start. And you said at the last podcast that process is set in blood in the airline industry. So once that Mayday goes up or sounds off, everybody's put an alert.
Right.
They know pretty much once the pilot tells them what's going on, if any, that they'll trigger all these things from A to Z if required.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. When I was looking at it, it was a distressful footage to look at.
Right.
The newspaper, the channel that was actually giving it the footage, was saying that in the last 30 years, at that airport, there has been 4 or 5 different fatal crashes where people have died.
Right.
Now, knowing Melbourne very well and knowing that area quite well, it's smack bang in the middle of residential,
Right.
Shopping centres, freeways, and there's been groups lobbying governments, being Liberal, Labor, Green, independent governments,
Right.
to shut this place down, and they haven't. I mean, what are your sort of thoughts on airports and where they should be located and how the proximities and the reason I ask that is because flying into Hong Kong years and years ago, back in the before the new airport was set up, when the English was still sort of running it, landing in Hong Kong,
It was insane.
was a nightmare. Do you ever land there?
I have landed there. Not
In the old airport?
At the old airport.
Yeah?
Yeah. I
You
mean,
could
that approach is famous. It's a famous approach. If you go on YouTube, there's millions of videos of jetliners making their approach into that airport. It's a sharp, if you go on YouTube, you see all these planes. It's a very populated, I mean, Hong Kong, you're flying over the city, right? It's a very densely populated approach. One wrong move, and Hong Kong is surrounded by mountains, right? So you have you have the weather that's really unpredictable. You might have a layer of fog that sits between the peaks, but that can't clear the bay. You have these planes that have a very hard approach to. It's like a 90-degree turn they have to do, and taking into account bad weather, inexperienced pilot, or whatever. One wrong move, you end up you're on top of buildings, skyscrapers.
Yeah. You could literally, me and my wife travelled there, the first time she ever travelled to Hong Kong with me, and you could literally look out the window.
And see the tops of...
And see people eating their dinner.
Yeah. And same token, if you miss your approach or you miscalculate it, you end up in the water.
Gee.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is freaky.
Yeah, there's pilots that fly there are very experienced, and I'm surprised I haven't heard there hasn't been more accidents there. I mean, that's one of the world's most famous flying approaches.
Right.
There's a few other ones, but there's beacon lights set up in the city that people don't know about. Unless you're in the aviation industry, there's beacon lights on top of skyscrapers, on top of these buildings that will tell pilots exactly at what point you have to start doing certain things.
So is it manual landing or auto?
It's all, from my understanding, a good percentage of it is all manual.
So you're putting...
I mean, planes could land their auto, but I'm assuming most airlines that are governed by China or Hong Kong, they require pilots to manually fly. It's just more control and more,
We flew Bangkok to Hong Kong a couple of years ago when they had the huge Airbuses. Is it the 380s that came out?
Yep, the double-decker.
And these were almost like a 50-story home. I mean, I was literally out of breath getting up the stairs, up the stairs, up the stairs, and then right to the back of the plane.
Yeah.
Beautiful plane, really comfortable. And I thought, if you had to land one of these things in Hong Kong at the old airport, I couldn't see how we would get through the buildings.
I'd love to see that. Can you imagine? You see these old 747s, the ones with the half double decker, right?
Yeah.
They do the sharp turn, and by the time they're coming around, you got to watch these YouTube videos. By the time they come and they're lined up with the runway, they're flying in sideways at an angle. And the pilot, as soon as they touch down, the pilot has just enough time to straighten it out. Get the rudder straight.
So it's all precision.
Right, it's all precision.
Gee.
You go too short, you fall short, you end up in the city. You overshoot it, you're in the water. But there's many airports around the world that have incredible landings where you have to get it right on target. Otherwise, too much, too little. It's a disaster.
Well, I hope my sister's not watching this because she's flying to Bangkok for the first time.
Okay.
And one, she's shit scared of coming to Bangkok.
Okay.
She thinks it's a third world country, right? And second, she's very, very scared of flying. So I hope she doesn't watch, your first podcast and the second podcast. Because,
What airline is she flying?
She's going Thai.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, Thai had some issues with their maintenance.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of years ago, financial issues.
It's a lot of corruption.
Yeah.
Government.
You tend to worry. I mean, if these guys aren't getting paid.
Yeah. If they're not getting paid, they'll look the other way. You know, I mean, it's already bad enough the Thais are lazy. You know, surprised they get the job done. But it's a big factor.
Yeah.
But I think Thai overall, compared to the other Asian airlines here, are pretty safe. You know, it is a major carrier.
I don't mind them. I think
they're good.
Yeah, I think they're okay. I fly with them everywhere I can. I've been here obviously 20, 25 years. I feel patriotic towards them to a large extent. Right. I think by and large you've got it right. By and large you got it right. And a lot of the budget airlines that they're affiliated with as well tend to get it right. Right. As well. But one of the things I didn't ask you in the first podcast, and I experienced it going to Australia and flying back. Why are planes that cold? Well, when you seriously, mate, you see these guys, they walk in, they go to Thailand, right? So they're at the airport, at Melbourne Airport, singlet, shorts, thongs. I'm at Melbourne Airport, hoodie, rashi, t-shirt, long socks, tracksuit, and runners. Yeah. And beanie. And they think I'm nuts. And I absolutely freeze on planes.
I get cold on planes, easy. It's funny to think, why are planes so cold? Or why do we keep the temperature on the plane so cold? When you're already high up, it's cold anyways.
But you're on the ground. That's what kills me. I mean, it's not a nice warmth, and then you're at 35,000 feet.
No, it goes from there's no gradual. Yeah,
why?
It's freezing.
It's almost like someone's cranked up the aircon.
Yeah, well, we do on the ground when we're hooked up to ground power, right? When the plane's not moving on its own power, when we're hooked up to ground power, we can't control a lot of that. So if you're sitting at the gate, or if you're sitting mostly at the gate, because you're hooked up to ground power, and you think, why is it so cold, or why is it so hot, or whatever, right? When we're hooked up to that external power, we don't control anything. It's a set temperature.
And the airport
at the airport
controls that.
That's a good question. I've never asked the people on the ground, can you make it a little bit warmer? Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know if it's...
Check it out.
That's a very, very good question. I got to get back to you on that. Yeah. I don't know if it's something mechanical where it's set by the computer on the machines, or if the airport has some influence or control on that. But that's a good question. Yeah. But I've had, when we get on the plane and we do our pre-flight check, we've gotten calls from the flight attendants and complaints from passengers saying it's too cold. Can you lower yeah, we can't do anything about that.
Well, it's interesting. Okay, so that makes a little bit of sense, because I've never complained when I've gotten on the plane, but when you settle in and you take off and the food comes and you get up and you go to the bathroom and you get your eating and all the stuff that you do, and then you're still freezing, I've made complaints and they've actually turned the aircon down and it's become noticeably warmer.
Right, and more comfortable.
And more comfortable. Right. So I think there is some sort of control in the plane, right?
Well, naturally, if a plane is warm, well, if anything is warm, a person's body, at least I know, it makes me feel very comfortable, but also very, I think it makes people fall asleep more. Of course. Right. I think it has more to do with the crew working than the passengers themselves. Obviously, we want passengers to feel comfortable, right? But if you ever walk into, if it's wintertime, no matter what time of the year, and you walk onto a plane and you walk into the flight deck, into the cockpit where the pilots are, right? In New York, it could be minus 10 degrees. It's wintertime. You have to wear a jacket when you're outside. But when you get into the cockpit, pilots are uniforms. You have a choice of a long sleeve or a short sleeve. Many pilots will always choose short sleeve, right? It's freezing, right? and they have the air vents blasting cold air. I think it has something to do with keeping the crew alert and awake. Yeah. If passengers tend to complain a lot, then we'll obviously have to make some adjustments. Some planes have different climate control settings for different cabins. Some other planes don't. Generally, we'll make first class more comfortable than economy class. But I think it's more of a crew issue to keep everybody awake.
That's interesting.
Well, when I'm hot and I'm warm, I fall asleep very, very easily.
Yeah.
But if I'm cold, then I'm.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that basically if you're colder, you're going to feel a little bit more uncomfortable, alert, on your toes. If you're in a nice warm setting, you feel like.
I've been on cruise flight before, and me and my captain, he's reading a book on his iPad, and I'm using the Wi-Fi and I'm doing stuff on my iPad, and it's been pretty hot, and it's so easy for both of us just to doze off and not be. And I'm not saying just pass out, fall asleep.
Yeah, sure.
But again, you're just at a comfortable state where if a radio call comes in or something happens, you're not as alert as if you were cold.
Man, don't tell me that stuff. Freaks me out. So, you guys are playing with not playing, but passing time reading.
Right.
From your iPads and your iPhones, right? How do you get Wi-Fi?
Some planes have Wi-Fi.
Some planes do have Wi-Fi now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like my last trip, I flew from the States to Dallas to Hong Kong. It was a 16-and-a-half-hour flight. Flying over the Pacific.
Direct.
Gee. 16 and a half. That's the longest flight I've ever been on. I think the world's longest one is still Sydney to Dallas, which is about 18.
Wow.
Yeah. Nonstop. And these planes have Wi-Fi now, so you could be 40,000 feet over the Pacific Ocean in the middle of nowhere.
Gee.
Where, if you crash, no one would find you, right? But yet you could still have Wi-Fi signal. And
I was just going to say that.
Check it on Facebook,
I was just going to say that because the MH17 got shot down over Russia.
MH17, wasn't that the one that was lost?
I think that was MH380 or something. Well, the one that got lost.
Right.
Okay. Still haven't found it. They've called off the search.
Right.
Very, very sorry for the families. This must be awesomely distressing. I can't even begin to imagine how they feel. But given all of the technology, and like you said, you're 40,000 feet across the Atlantic, and
that was a big controversial issue, I think, with governments. There is technology.
There's got to be.
There's got to be technology, and I'm pretty sure there is. With all the satellites that are up in space, right? And you had governments, some of the world's most powerful governments pitching in to help. I think it's the reason nobody, what I believe, then this is just my opinion, if a government really exposed what they were able to do, it leaves them also vulnerable to other things, right? So there's a lot of national security, technological security. Nobody really wants to show what they're capable of doing, even though it means, it's costing the lives, or, they can't find a plane in the middle of the ocean and they have to tell their, the loved ones, sorry, we can't find it. But, they're thinking of the bigger picture. So I think, you have China, you have Japan, I wouldn't say Malaysia, but you had all these other governments helping out, right? And even Malaysia authorities reached out to other governments for help. They had some sonar scanners that were able to scan the bottom of the ocean. They had to bring them in from the States. They had the Australian Navy help, I believe, with some search. The Australians sent out a couple Navy ships. You had all these people helping out, but no one. Again, everyone said, well, with all this technology, why can't we find it? No one really wanted to put it, I'll give you a couple Navy ships to help you out, but I'm not going to give you my satellites that could look through the Earth's core and tell you exactly what's down, Yeah,
that's sad. There's a guy called Eddie Bravo.
Okay.
Have you heard of Eddie?
Never.
Okay. Look up Eddie Bravo when you get a chance. And he is very, very well-known 10th planet. He discovered pretty much 10th planet jiu-jitsu in America. He was the only guy, I believe, to tap out Royler Gracie.
Wow.
Gracie family started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, pretty much, from the yogis, and made some changes and made it BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Eddie took it with another family and created 10th Planet.
Wow.
Okay. One of the guys that we've become very good friends with, big supporter of Peak, did a podcast with, do a lot of video shoots and photo shoots with him, called Frank Barker, was telling us about Eddie. And there's a lot of footage on YouTube about his conspiracy theories about different things. And when you hear stuff like what you've just said, and you hear stuff what Eddie says, and a couple of other people that are in the same circles, you can't but help think that this stuff does go on.
No, of course, for sure.
You know, all this conspiracy stuff has to go on.
Yeah.
I mean, in this day and age, they're flying people to the moon, and you're telling me they can't find a plane in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, we're flying. They want to build a world on Mars, and you're telling me you can't find a plane.
No, I think something's terribly wrong here.
They're
terribly wrong.
Yeah, there's just there's too much technology out there, I think.
Yeah.
That would make finding the plane possible.
Yeah.
But yet, there's a reason why it's not used.
Yeah. No, and that's sad. Interesting you talk about. I raised the issue about the coldness.
Right.
In Australia, we actually went to something called a cryo chamber.
Okay.
And for those people who don't know cryo chambers, cryo comes from the Greek word kryo, which is cold.
Right.
And this is a chamber which comfortably fits probably 4 people. You don't want any more than that, because if you touch the actual walls, you'll stick to the walls.
Right.
And it gets between negative 110 to negative 240. Okay, so we did the negative 110.
Right.
And I tell you what, mate, the conditioning that thing gives you, and I can understand that you've got to do it regularly enough to build up resilience and for it to have major impact.
Right.
But even for the first 3 or 4 days after we did it, the cold made your body feel better, great for recovery. I felt mentally very relaxed. I was doing an Ironman training course. I felt very, very empowered. I was running personal bests. It was amazing. But you asked me what I did in Australia, and that was one of the things we did. So you spend 3 minutes maximum in there.
Okay.
30 seconds you get in there, and it's negative 60, so your body can acclimatise.
Right.
And then you get into the other chamber, which is goes to negative 110, and you stay there for 2.5 minutes. The maximum you can do is 3 minutes.
Right.
But if you ever get a chance to do it, it's an awesome experience.
It's amazing.
And you'll never go back to a warm shower, ever. I take freezing showers now, and they feel warm. In fact, I get pissed off when I get into the shower and it's not freezing cold. So
I need to take hot showers.
Yeah, no, I used to, but now I don't. I feel like I get out more invigorated.
Right.
I take ice baths every night.
Wow.
So I load up a whole heap of ice in the bathtub, run the cold water. First 10 minutes is freezing cold, and then obviously heats up.
Right.
Because the temperature of the water is not frozen.
Right.
But you get a good 10-15 minutes of real cold water, and it makes a hell of a difference, mate. Hell of a difference.
You know what? If I actually had a bathtub, I would try that.
Yeah. Well, you were saying when you sort of land,
right?
You've got 8 hours or an 8-hour sort of shift allowance where it starts from when you leave the plane to when you actually go to the hotel, right?
For the drinking.
No, for the shift changes.
Oh, minimum is 8 hours.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
It starts from when we land.
Yep.
To when we're supposed to be at the airport again.
Right.
Right. But now there's a big, regardless of the rest periods are always an issue. We're trying to, a lot of unions and not just our airline, but airlines around the world, they always try to fight for as much rest period as possible. What I think it should be, and what it really should be, and what some contracts already have changed to, is your rest starts when you check into your hotel.
It does.
It should. Ours doesn't, right? It should. Some contracts do. Some airlines have that.
Right.
But us at AirAsia doesn't. It should really start when you get to the hotel, because there's times when you land, you physically land, but you have to wait. By the time the people get off the plane, if you there's no gate ready for you.
Yeah.
If it's a long, there's so many factors from the time you actually land to actually when you're out of your uniform and you could actually, your mind is not on work.
Yeah.
Right. So, by the time you land, you open up the door, if you got, 100 people coming out, and then there's issues with waiting for someone in a wheelchair or all this other stuff, your 8 hours goes down fast.
Yeah.
And you're fighting for your time.
Yeah.
You're fighting, do I have enough time to eat, to shower? I got to make phone calls. I got to do all this stuff. Your brain doesn't rest. And then you're right back at it next morning.
Yeah.
Or in 8 hours.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, mate, I'll tell you, word of advice, get to the hotel room, don't do anything other than run a cold bath, get in the bath for 15 minutes, and you will be a different person. Seriously, try it.
I will try that.
Yeah, it is. Before you even eat, make a phone call, do anything. Just get in the room, dump your stuff, run the cold bath. Get the hotel to bring you some ice, right? Bucket loads of ice. Throw it in there and just have a freezing cold bath.
I will try that.
15 minutes, and you will be as alert as when you wake up in the morning.
Amazing.
Seriously, yeah.
I will try that.
Yeah, amazing. But the cryo chamber, if you get a chance to do that anywhere reputable, I wouldn't do it in a third world country. But if you get back in New York and you want to give it a go, give it a go.
Right.
It's
I don't even know if they have something like that here.
They do. They have one. I researched it, and they have a cryo chamber in Pattaya.
Okay. Really?
Yep. Funnily enough, there's a clinic in Pattaya that does it, and there was another clinic in Sukhumvit that does it. But when I logged into his Facebook, his website, the website didn't exist.
Right.
Which worries me.
That's common in Thailand. Yeah.
So I'm going to go to Pattaya with my sister in a couple of weeks.
How much is that? So why would you say not do it in a third world country? Is it,
well,
again, go back to, are they properly maintained? Or
I'm always dubious of doing stuff that has risks to it. And to a large extent doesn't have competent people, generally speaking. Right. So I'll give you an idea. The place we went to in Melbourne was called Gravity. Okay. And we walked in, the lady sat us down, she got us to read, let me go back to the start. I rang up and made an inquiry. Right. We made a booking, she asked me a couple of questions, made the booking, left a deposit on credit card, and then straight away emailed me a leaflet full of information about what will happen and some of the risks associated with it, some of the things that I need to do to prepare for it. So really...
informative and detailed.
Yeah, got me really psyched up about it.
Right.
And a lot of the apprehension, and it was very stressful, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. But the apprehension with that approach significantly went away.
Right.
Okay. Then when we got there, she sat us down. There wasn't swarms of people there. There was one representative for each, 3 or 4 people. Sat us down in a private room, explained everything again, the procedure, what we're going to expect, what we don't, etc., etc. When we went to we got changed. So what you do is you wear, because you can get frostbite very quickly. So you wear gloves, you wear some heavy duty socks and shoes, like Ugg boots.
Right.
You wear your underwear. Women wear their bathers, and a beanie and a face mask.
Now you said you can't touch the wall because you'll stick to the wall.
Correct.
So when you go in there, what do you do? Are you standing up? Are you sitting down?
You're standing up.
Okay.
and they encourage you to move around.
Okay.
Okay.
Keep your blood flow?
Well, yeah, just to keep distracted and keep your blood flowing. Because 3 minutes in something like that can seem like an awful
That's a very long 3 minutes.
Funnily enough, it was a very short 3 minutes.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why it was a very short 3 minutes. And then we went to the other guy who had, if you can just envisage, say, maybe all of this bench full of controls. Almost like a plane.
Right.
Right? Okay, so you had that. And it looked very scientific, right? And the guy was relatively young, 20, 25, very well spoken, very well informed, and obviously me being me, very inquisitive, asking all these questions about different things. And he was very aware of everything.
Right.
And he sat down and explained what's going to happen from when we enter the chamber to when we exit the chamber. And he took our temperature, and our body temperature, our skin temperature, mine was 33, Kwan's was I think 32, and Johnny was about 35 or something, 34. When we exited, Kwan was 7, I was 11, and Johnny was 13.
Wow.
So that's how much of an impact on your body temperature.
Amazing.
It traumatizes your body.
You're going to have to let me know when you scheduled the one for Pattaya.
I haven't yet.
Okay. You're going to have to let me know. I go there a lot to Pattaya. We can go together. So you have to let me know how that is.
Well, we're back. Eva's coming over between the 6th and the 15th. So it's during the Songkran New Year festival.
Okay.
Right. So if you're here, let's go and do it together.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think you need to do it with someone.
Right.
And the reason I tell you is this: when I told my wife I've booked her in, because I told nobody I'm booking them in, other than Johnny.
Right.
And when I explained it to her, she went friggin' nuts. You want to kill me? You're not taking care of me. You're mad. Why are you doing this? All that crap. Right. So I said, look, I paid the deposit. If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Right.
Okay. I don't really care.
Right.
Okay. Don't do it. We landed in Melbourne. We kicked around the idea. Johnny got involved, and we all started getting a bit excited.
Right.
Leading up to it, we thought, fuck, should we really be doing this?
What are we doing?
Are we going to freeze to death?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. And we woke up in the morning and we were, it was somber. It was somber. Nobody spoke to each other.
Okay.
And when they did, everyone was very kind, very softly spoken. We had our showers, got changed, got in the car, drove to the place. Are
there appropriate measures that they advise you to take prior to going into this? Like, is there something you can't eat or should eat, or what you have to do in the morning?
No,
nothing.
Just nothing like that. Yeah, nothing. But it was just amazing. But once you get out, you feel like you can do anything.
You're just
anything.
Reborn.
You're reborn.
That's amazing.
How
much does it cost?
It's on the surface, people think it's relatively expensive, and I think it is as well. It's $75, so about 60 US, 65 US.
Now you're in $75 for how long?
3 minutes.
Actually, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 minutes. So it is expensive, but
it's all relative, I think.
It's relative to what you get out of it, and you want a quality place with quality staff. You don't want some guy turning it on to negative 110 and you can't get out and he's off.
So so my next question is, what kind of preventative measures, if a person goes into this chamber and for whatever reason can't handle it? Well,
nothing's locked.
Okay.
So you can exit anytime.
Anytime, okay.
Yeah, exit anytime. So there's 2 doors. There's the main chamber that the negative 110. There's the negative 60, and then once you're out of that, you're out into the normal changing rooms, right? Or control room, which is normal heat.
Right.
And what they do, which is quite nice, is they get you to pick a song.
Okay.
So you pick a song, and as soon as you get in there, the song plays.
Right.
And mentally, you know the song. So you know it's coming towards the end of the song, and it's usually around 3 or 4 minutes. So you
anticipate, yeah.
But they also give you 30-second warnings.
Okay.
Okay, so once you do your 30 seconds, then they say, enter the main chamber.
Right.
So you enter the main chamber. Once you enter the main chamber, they say 1 minute.
Right.
1.5 minutes.
Right.
So mentally, you're sort of being supported through the whole thing.
Right. You're not just thrown in there and
No.
The clock's ticking and you can't see the time. Okay.
No. But going back to the point about why I felt it went so quick, the day before we actually went on the Steve Maxwell course.
Right.
And we spent a day learning how to breathe in different conditions.
Right.
So we learned breathing techniques for isotonic exercise, aerobic exercise, anaerobic exercise, all that type of stuff. And we asked Steve, we said, Steve, we're going to this cryo chamber. How do we breathe at negative 110 degrees? And he gave us a brilliant technique, and that's what got me through. I mean, I was focused on breathing, and that's all I did. I moved around a little bit, but the time flew, mate.
Right.
I mean, in fact, I thought I could do probably another 3 minutes of this.
6 minutes total.
Yeah.
Wow.
I probably physically couldn't.
Right.
But my body mentally, I felt like I could.
Right. Now, how often can a person do this?
Well, interesting, because I'll just let me finish one thing. So the feeling, people say, how does it feel? Have you ever had a CAT scan or some kind of scan where they inject a fluid into your body, a colour, I don't know what it's called, and it will run through your body and it heats your body up. You can literally feel like you're getting hot. And then they put you in the scan machine, and it helps, the fluid helps the scan produce more accurate pictures of your inside.
Right.
Okay, or whatever they're trying to scan. So imagine freezing cold, okay, getting a big ice cube and from your toe, putting it all the way up, and your foot gets numb, right? That's what happens. And it starts from your toes and your fingers, and you feel all this freezing sensation. And you're thinking, if this sort of hits my abdomen,
right,
or around my chest, heart, lung area, am I just going to collapse and die?
Right.
So you start to get a bit nervy. But after 3 minutes, it stops.
Right.
So it hit my knees, it hit my elbows, and then
just stopped.
And then I was out.
Right.
Right. So stay any longer. I think there's some method to the madness of 3 minutes, right?
Yeah, there's a reason it's 3 minutes.
I think there is. I think there is.
Right.
But try it, mate. Seriously. Try it. We should do it together.
Yes, I'm going to check. If I'm here, I'd like to go down and do it.
Come down together, but also a tip for when you get into
The chamber.
The hotel room after your flight, get into an ice bath, right? It will really, really make a difference.
I'm definitely going to try that.
I just want to check how we're doing for time. Izzy, how are we doing for time, buddy, on the...
58 minutes.
Wow, 1 hour.
That hasn't stopped.
I think it's separated.
Oh, like last time.
Does it separate automatically?
Yeah, at 33 minutes.
That's why when he had to send it to me, it was like clip, clip, clip.
Oh, okay. I thought. By the way, guys, Izzy, our podcast engineer. So I thought you had to stop it and restart it.
No.
Man, we had every podcast has its events.
Right.
We were talking to Frank Barker, who runs the 10th Planet Gym in Melbourne.
Okay.
He'd done his 1:30 session. He'd finished it. Everybody had gone home.
Right.
They disinfected the mats.
Right.
Everything was fine, good to go. Brilliant setting for a podcast. We were on the mats with a big 10th Planet sign, and we, because it was on a main road, we sort of closed the roll doors of the gym,
Okay.
so we wouldn't hear the noise.
Right.
And he's got a little Mazda. I don't know what it is, but it's a Mazda. It looks like a Mazda 323 or something. One of those small little hatch things. And he has, I don't know what the terminology is, he's put all these badges on it
Okay.
of 10th Planet.
On the car?
On the car.
Okay.
So it's fully badged up as 10th Planet.
Okay.
And it's purple.
Okay.
Right? The colour's purple.
Right.
With all this type of stuff on the car.
Right.
It looks brilliant. And some clown's walking past, stops, looks at the car. The front door was open, although it was actually closed, it was unlocked. Walks in the gym, could see us filming, and interrupts. And says, buddy, I like your car. How does it go? And do you want to sell it? And we're thinking, mate, we're in the middle of something here. What are you thinking? Right?
Yeah.
But mate, enough about cryo chambers and ice baths and stuff. I want to ask you, the tragedy in California. What happened there, mate? I haven't had a chance to catch up, but like I said to you, we did a podcast in January, I think January 6th or 7th. A couple of days before that, the Fort Lauderdale accident or shooting happened.
You know, I think...
What happened in California?
Naturally, a person would think that the bigger the plane is, the harder it is to fly. Correct? You have a plane that with 400 people, it must be just impossible to fly. Control.
Yeah.
But in reality, I think these smaller planes, whether they're propeller, turboprops or just private jet, smaller planes, and I'm not saying all of them are like that, but especially the older ones that aren't outfitted with so much technology in them. And also then you add on the maintenance issue, and then you add on the pilot experience factor. All these factors plays a big part. I don't know as much about the California crash as I do the Australian one, but again, it goes down to what. Have you ever heard of the show Air
Investigations? Mate, I have.
You don't watch it?
I skip it. I skip it, mate, because I do so much traveling.
Right. But I don't. The point I'm trying to get is, and what they always make clear is, it's never what happened with the plane or with the pilot at that very moment. It's always a series of events that lead to it. So getting back to the California crash, from what I understand, it was also a mechanical issue. I don't know how experienced or how old the pilot was. But it was a chartered flight, private chartered flight, and the investigators are going to look into it again. Was it a mechanical issue or was it a pilot issue? And it just happened last week. It's so a few days ago. It's so new that it'll take time until we figure out what really happened.
But so I know nothing about it other than you told me it happened.
When I sent you the message.
Sent me the message. So how many people were on board? Was it a similar plane to the small plane?
I believe it was smaller, but the plane that had crashed in Australia, I believe, was an old plane.
Right.
Yeah. When I mean old, I mean it wasn't a new plane. It was maybe 20-something years old.
Okay, so this was a new plane in California?
It was newer than 20 years old, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Small
plane.
How many seats?
I believe there was 6 to 10 people on the plane.
Okay.
They were traveling to. There were some cheerleaders traveling to a competition or from a competition.
Okay.
And where the plane crashed, it landed into 2 houses in a residential area. So imagine you're just in your house,
and
doing
the
the
people
laundry.
in the house died.
I believe 2 people on the ground got killed. Yeah.
And a dog survived. You were telling me.
A dog survived. Yeah.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
A dog on the plane.
A dog on the plane?
Yeah.
Really?
Not just a dog in the
What do
backyard.
they do with the dog? Oh,
Well,
sorry,
I mean,
thought
people travel with their pets, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sure.
But,
okay.
but
yeah,
just out of all things.
Wow.
And when I first read this report, I forget what media outlet I read it on or how trustworthy it is, but the way they described it, the way I read it, the way it was written, I know it's horrible, but it just made me kind of laugh. Out of everything, a dog survives.
That's amazing.
I've never heard of that before.
No.
Where they say, 4 perished on the ground, this and that, all this. But the golden retriever was able to walk away unharmed.
Gee.
Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it?
That's crazy.
Hey, going back to the investigations, and I have seen parts of that show,
Right.
but I do tend to skip over
Right.
it and move on to the next channel. Who investigates these types of accidents? What are the qualifications of the people who investigate here, and what organisations are they a part of?
Every country has an organization, whether it's privately funded or governmentally funded, that is specific. Their specific job is to investigate these types of incidents. If an accident happens in the States where a plane goes down, or a train has an accident, or a boat has an accident, there's a national council, right? NTSB, National Transport Safety Bureau, that their specific job is to investigate and find out what happened with these, with this specific incident. They're mostly heard about from plane crashes, because plane crashes are the biggest, they're talked about more than a train or a boat accident, right? In Australia, I believe there were Americans on board that got killed, that were
I think they were all Americans.
They were all American,
yeah.
Passengers, right?
Yeah, they were on a golfing trip.
Right. So because they're American citizens, the Australian government might reach out to the NTSB in the States to come in on the investigation as well. So for big incidents like the Malaysian plane that went down or went missing, you have all these nationalities on board. Now you have to bring in representatives from every country. You can't just have a plane with 5 Americans on board that crashes in control, right? I mean, Americans are going to speak up, so we have to invite them over and come in. So everybody pitches in. Now these councils, these organizations, they're made up of scientists, researchers, analysts, former pilots, former aviators, people who have experience in the industry, right? You might have a scientist who knows about, chemical composition and material composition, but he's never actually flown a physical plane. Okay. So you have people from all walks of life that make up this organization. It's funny, going back to that, there was an investigation about the plane that had crashed right off the coast of Brazil a few years ago. It was an Air France plane traveling from Rio to Paris. Yeah. And then the sensors on the plane that tell you the pilot, temperature, airspeed, all this other stuff, altitude, they froze and they malfunctioned, right? Pilots didn't really know what to do.
Because that plane went missing for ages, didn't it?
Well, yeah. Then they found parts, wreckage. They found things floating around. But again, it covers the show you're talking about, air crash investigation. It covers all these crazy stories, right? Some of them you've heard, some of them you never heard. But on the tail, just think, this big plane, the plane that holds 300-400 people, the tail, which is supposed to be one of the strongest parts on the plane, right? That it's supposed to withstand, wind speeds and a lot of abuse, right? There's only 16 screws. 16 bolts holding that tail piece to the actual body of the plane. 16, only 16, and they're about half the size of this water bottle. But they're made of a special material that's stronger than titanium, which is reason why aircraft why they use it. Aerospace companies use it. But something had happened so violently that these 16 screws just snapped off, and the tail just flew off. That's why if you see, again, a lot of the pictures of the recovery of the plane, you just see the piece of the tail in whole, but then you could see where the screws had been ripped off of the plane. So then, when I watch this, I thought about it. I said, wow, there's only 16. And now when I look at a plane, I'm at the airport and I'm looking around, there's only 16 screws, 16 bolts that are holding that thing together.
Man, after knowing you, right, all I do is I put my head down, my bum up, I walk into the seat, I request for an extra blanket, stick it over my head, and pray to God. Right, that's what I do. But one of the reasons I didn't, going back to air crash investigations, one of the reasons I stopped watching that was 5 or 10 years ago, I watched it. And I watched quite an intriguing plane crash. And to your point, obviously all of these people were involved. it narrowed it down to the cause of the accident was a little bolt the size of this, little finger, towards the back of the plane that had snapped and had then caused knock-on effects to several other parts of the plane and made it crash.
Right.
And the investigators, through all of that, linked it back to that
little screw.
Little screw.
You know, bringing up that screw...
that is...
It's my...
I just don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. A lot of these incidents happen and they link it back to a maintenance issue, right?
Yeah. But
there's a British Airways flight that had an incident. It wasn't... I don't believe anybody died except the pilot. But they were flying and the windscreen, right, the windshield blew out, right? And the pilot got sucked out.
Wow.
Right? It sounds like it's something in a movie, right? Again, after investigation, after a series of people getting involved, they linked it back that the plane went into maintenance and it had the windshield either fixed or replaced or something like that, or cleaned, or I don't know what. When they put it back onto the plane, right, and screwed up all the bolts again and insulated and whatever they have to do, one of the maintenance people put the wrong screw. I don't know if he did it, I don't know if there was a screw, if he had to go find a screw, he got the wrong one, or if he just accidentally picked up the wrong. He put the wrong screw, about this big, back into bolting this windshield on, and that one screw that was the wrong screw, it fit into it, it just was the wrong screw, caused everything to go, and they couldn't figure out how it happened. And then
the plane crashed.
I believe it made a safe landing.
So it was only one pilot that got sucked out.
One pilot got sucked out, but it made a distress call, and it was when the air pressure, it causes things to go wrong in the plane. But I believe they did make a successful landing. I don't think any passengers were killed or injured in that. I have to look into it. But going back to the whole one little screw thing, it's crazy. So now every time it's like when you get a wheel, I look at these, I'm at the airport or I hear about a wheel, there's a logbook on each plane. So I can open up the logbook every time I get on the plane. I could see what went through. Oh, we had a flat tire. We replaced this. We did this plane got fixed. And I'm thinking in my head, who are these people that are screwing on my wheels or bolting on my door or,
Yeah. I'm not sure, mate, if this is regulation or they're trying to appear transparent or what it is. If we're delayed, we're on the tarmac and we're delayed, just tell me we're delayed, right? Just make up something. Don't tell me we've got a mechanical issue, because that just freaks me out. I mean, why
it's
do
just a
people
thing
need
the pilots
to say that?
Well, pilots say it.
But why?
I think they want...
Who cares? I mean, just get me...
From A to B.
Yeah. Don't tell me there's a mechanical issue.
I've had pilots come on and they say, we're waiting for our battery died, we're waiting for a jump start, or we have a flat, our brakes aren't working in one of our right wheels, we're just waiting for someone to come take a look at it. And they act like it's so nonchalant,
Yeah.
like it's a pretty big damn thing. You better get that brake fixed, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah,
What?
I've had a pilot say, and I have a picture of it on my phone. We just noticed, we backed out, then we're delayed. We're sitting there for a while. He'll come on the radio, on the PA, and say, folks, sorry for the delay. We just pushed back here. We were about to start taxiing to the runway, but one of the cargo guys on the ground noticed a crack in our wing. So we're just waiting for someone to come take a quick look at it and see if it's okay for us to go, and we should be on our way shortly. Sit tight, relax.
A crack in the wing.
But that's the way they would say it. The way I just said it, so nonchalant, just like, okay, we'll just wait for someone to come take a look at it. Like, you better bring this bitch back to the hangar and check it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Get me a new plane.
Change planes.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. No, that really freaks me out. Mate, we got to wrap up soon, mate.
Yeah.
But there was a question I didn't ask you in the first podcast. Intriguing. I heard it on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I think that's one of the reasons why Joe now doesn't travel long haul with the UFC anymore. He just does domestic stuff, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. And I remembered when I had dinner with a friend in Australia a couple of weeks ago who is a radiographer.
Okay.
And she was telling me some very, very frightening stories about what happens or how much radiation doctors or nurses put in you
Right.
whilst you're under anaesthetic in a major operation.
Right.
Right. Unbelievable amounts.
I can imagine.
And the funny part is, or not funny part, but the disturbing part is that the patient has no friggin' idea.
Right.
Right? There's people that go into hospital to women, say a woman, who's got or suspected of having breast cancer,
Right.
takes x-rays, and will make any excuse under the sun not to take the x-ray because of the radiation.
Right.
So they've come up with this pretty cool sort of concept where the radiographer will have a chart that says one chest x-ray is equivalent to X of an activity
Right.
that you do generally every day
Right.
and exposed to radiation,
Right.
but we don't know.
Right.
And that sort of appeases people, but they're still very, very reluctant. So a couple of questions I've got on planes.
Right.
Why is it that they say that you get radiation on a plane? And what causes it?
I think it has to do with you're in a big metal tube, right, at a certain altitude that obviously air pressure and body pressure and all this other stuff comes into play. But this plane, again, with so much technology on it, right? You have so many frequencies, radio frequencies. You got you got radars and GPS satellites that are interacting with the equipment on board. You know, I think that plays a big part of how much radiation you're involved in. Now, obviously, if you're flying, if you fly once in a blue moon on a short domestic flight, it's not going to make a big difference. You might put it back into that analogy of 1 6-hour flight equals how many daily activities or something you do.
Well,
right?
I think it said, 1 7-hour trip is 1 X-ray.
Really? Wow.
And a long haul trip
Right.
is a couple.
Right. Now, if you're doing a long haul, if you're flying 15 hours and you do that trip 2 times a week, right, every month, and for 12 months out of the year, for 15, 20 years, I think there's a good chance that it plays a big part in possibly why somebody could have more exposure to radiation than somebody who doesn't.
So, from your perspective,
Right.
obviously, if you're a tradie or a labourer,
Right.
and you're out in the sun,
Right.
and you're not wearing sunscreen, and most labourers wear singlets and shorts, and so a large part of their body is exposed to the sun,
Right.
ultraviolet rays, you stand a pretty good chance of getting some skin cancer at some point, or
Correct.
some skin-related disease
Right.
or ailment. As a pilot, surely, putting aside skin ailments and stuff like that, surely it does stuff to your head, your joints, your internal organs.
Right.
Surely, I mean.
Oh yeah, especially if you're doing it, if you're exposed to that for so many years for an extended amount of time, it'll play a factor. And
aren't you worried?
And then it all goes back. I am worried.
I would be.
Yeah, I am worried. It hasn't become such a big issue publicly yet about that, but there are people are aware of it. Some people are aware of it. Not everybody's aware of it. But I think, again, I'm pretty sure, I wouldn't be surprised if there's more daily activities or daily things that I do that produce more radiation than the amount of flying that I do. Because I don't fly a lot. But when I do, say if I'm flying a 15-hour flight tomorrow, I think in the past 4 days I've probably done more that have more activities or, brought more radiation
But like
upon myself.
what?
I don't know. It's like going back to the things that surprise people about, wow, I did this and I exposed myself to this much radiation. I wasn't aware of that, I'm trying to think of some things that causes that I would have done. What did I do? Yeah, sometimes I can't even tell you what I did yesterday.
Maybe I oversimplified the example. I mean, the chart is I mean, I actually would have loved to get. I can get a copy of it actually. It's not everyday stuff. It's not like going to a shopping mall. It's not like coming into this boardroom to do a podcast. It's not
or
like
using your cell. How serious are cell phones?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and I now have stopped using a cell phone against my ear. I will always have it on hands free.
Right.
And when I'm in the car, I will always have it. If I'm listening to music or a podcast or anything like that, I'll have it on one of those little holders, so it can be as far away as possible.
Right.
But that's interesting.
Or microwaves. I mean, do you use a microwave at home? How often? At one point, there was a big talk and a big scare about how bad microwaves are for you.
Yeah.
But yet today, microwaves still play a big part of everyday life.
I'm not sure microwaves, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure their exposure through radiation is through the food, or if it's through the actual waves out of the machine.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure, but it'll be interesting to see what's on that chart. I might get a copy of that and tweet it out.
Right. But if it was as serious as
But mate, I don't spend 15 hours next to a microwave every day or every second or third day like you would be, right? For 40 years. It's a big difference.
Right.
It's amazing. It's actually amazing with this day and age. And I'll give you an example which is freaking. I'm sure you're used to this in America. Kids can sue their parents, right, for hitting them.
Correct.
Smack a kid on the arse, right? They could sue their parents for that.
Right.
In fact, they could sue their parents for most things.
Right.
Which is ridiculous. It's out of control, right? And look, abuse, all that type of stuff. I can understand. And I'm all for it, right? I'm all for prosecution against the offenders, but other stuff's a little bit trivial in my own mind.
Right.
I'm amazed that a lot of consumers or a lot of people in the actual flying profession have not lodged any lawsuits against any harm done through the stresses of flying, in particular radiation.
In particular radiation, no. You're right. They've lobbied lawsuits against other things that come down to safety issues, rest periods, the airline wants me to fly, they only give me 6 hours on the ground and they want me to fly again, and I wasn't aware and I got hurt or this and that. There's been so many back and forth with contracts and fighting with insurance companies and regulators. But in terms of specifically the radiation stuff, I've never heard of anybody, at least in the States, I've never heard of anybody.
Well, I hope this podcast doesn't kick off a wave of
Well, it might be a
lawsuits.
good thing, maybe. Because if it's a serious issue, it should be brought up. But I don't know. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of an issue anywhere in the States that has caused concern yet.
Well, let's wait and see.
Mate,
on a fun note to end it all, because that was a bit serious, the radiation discussion. On a fun part, you're going back, you're going to be spending probably best part of the month over there, then coming back here.
Correct.
So we'll obviously have you back on on a podcast to see how the new job's going. You're going to have a heap of friends over there that are going to be quizzing you about life in Bangkok and how it's been over the last 3 years.
Right.
Tell us 2 or 3 interesting things that you've experienced over or seen or lived over the last 3 years here that sort of freaked you out a bit.
There's a lot of things.
Yeah, I know there is, mate, but we've only got time for a couple. Podcast, it's a whole nother podcast.
There's so many things with this place that I disagree with.
But, sorry, before you go on, buddy, you were telling me that you've got a album full of. Is it an album that you got?
It's a Facebook album.
Facebook album.
Yep. And it's called, I don't know if you've heard of the acronym, it's SMH, means shaking my head, kind of like just in disbelief.
No.
Yeah, so,
I'm going to make a note of that. Shake my head.
SMH, it's kind of like when you text someone LOL or
WTF,
SMH, shaking my head, kind of just like you're in disbelief or you're in shock, you're surprised, right?
Yeah.
So I named the album SMH, things that don't make sense in Thailand.
Right.
Now, originally I had labeled it something more vulgar, but I have some Thai friends on Facebook,
Yep.
and obviously I didn't want to make any enemies, so I changed it to SMH, kind of like a funny, more of a comedial type of thing than the previous name was.
Yeah.
And I had to take out some captions to make it. I had to censor it basically because sometimes I'm just too open with what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
but
that's why I like you so much.
You should see these pictures. I mean, I just and again, I have Thai friends, so I'm not saying all Thai people are like this, but there are so many things that don't make sense in this country. Some of the pictures I have. Some of the signs that I see that regulate certain businesses or certain laws that are here in place. Today, you and I had a discussion about the supercar parking thing. That's only,
ladies parking.
Ladies parking. That I don't understand what that is.
Ladies parking freaks me out.
Right.
I mean, in Melbourne, we've got disabled parking.
Right.
Understand.
Right.
Close to doors.
Right.
Close to sort of handicap facilities with wheelchairs and stuff. Got it.
Right. My question is ladies parking. Kids. Is this just for late?
Yes.
I don't
Yes, it is. You don't see prams, pictures of prams or babies. So pregnant ladies, prams, understand.
Right.
Again, same thing. Proximity to ramps, close to entrances. I got it.
Right.
But ladies parking?
I've never heard of that. I have to take a picture or find a picture on Google and add that to the album.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. Who parks there?
Well, ladies.
Yeah, I did.
Look, I don't get it, mate. But the other one we saw today was the super bikes.
Yeah, the super bikes. What is that?
They were just
super bikes.
They were just normal 250cc Kawasaki's and Ducatis.
Yeah, but even if you got a great bike, I've never heard of anyone refer to it as a super bike or categorize it as a super bike.
But, I mean, there's supercar parking.
Right, I've heard of supercar. Supercar is a supercar.
Yeah,
I know that.
And there's some pretty supercars in there. But again, I don't understand why. I mean, take it to valet.
Take it to valet.
Right. Why would you have a designated supercar?
Right.
That's that. Right. Well, what else? A couple more things. How do I get on this website?
No, it's on my Facebook album. I'll have to add me on Facebook, and then you can click it. Yeah.
Okay.
I've got pictures of countless things. I understand it's hot, right? It's sun. A lot of Thai people don't like to be out in the sun, and it goes back to they don't want to be dark, right? They don't want to be dark skinned. Especially motorbike guys I see, or people on motorbikes, or people in general. I'm on the BTS waiting for a train. I see people come on with leather jackets or North Face jackets, hoodies on, And I'm so tempted so many times to just walk up to them and say, "Are you hot?" or "Where'd you come from?" And I ask my girlfriend, she's Thai. I say, "Why is this motorbike guy wearing a parka?" Or why is he wearing this jacket? He's all bundled up. All I see are his eyes. And of course, it all goes back to, to protect him from the sun. Okay, I get it. But there's got to be other ways or better clothing choices to wear than winter clothing. Like you're coming from, like, fucking Alaska, I just don't get it. You've seen you've seen Thai people, they're just rocked up in winter clothing. Winter clothing. No joke, winter clothing.
Well, you know what's not...
I get hot. I start sweating profusely just by looking at them, And it's crazy.
Well, I've got low body fats, very low body fat, so I tend to get very cold.
Right.
In most places.
Right.
So I will go onto the BTS with a hoodie.
Okay.
Because it's freezing.
The BTS is cold.
Right.
There's been times where I have been cold. I wish I had a long sleeve on.
Yeah.
But
a parka, not really sure. Covering myself up.
A full scully beanie,
not really sure.
Right.
Yeah. What does really intrigue me is the Thais don't use sunscreen.
Right.
In fact, most Asians don't use sunscreen.
Right.
Yet they hate the sun.
Right.
And I don't think they get that the umbrella does not really help much when you've got ultraviolet rays that are extreme levels. Because that's what bakes you.
Right.
Even overcast days.
Have you seen all these lotions that they have? Everything is like SPF 80 with everything is this whitening.
It's whitening.
Yeah.
It's whitening. And I'll tell you a funny story about whitening. I always say, I use that word funny, but again, disturbing, is a very good friend of mine who was chairman of one of my businesses,
right.
Who in fact I had lunch with yesterday, Larry. an American guy, okay, Silicon Valley guy, very, 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 very bright guy, started up a company, or wanted to start up a company manufacturing these whitening creams.
Okay.
And got together with a doctor and I think a scientist and a researcher and poured a significant amount of money into this venture. And the ingredients that they had put in to all of this stuff, now get this, didn't clear the authorities in Thailand,
Okay.
right? And they wouldn't pass the product, they wouldn't certify the product.
Right.
Okay? So could you imagine in Thailand, if they're not letting this stuff through, what in fact is in it? Yeah. So my message to, and I did this with Kwan, my wife. When I first met her and moved in together, I walked in, and I'm a nosy bastard. Right. As you do, you look through the cabinets and you see what they've got. And seriously, all I found, and there must be thousands of dollars worth of whitening stuff in there.
Everything is just...
All of it was whitening.
Yeah.
And for anybody out there, guys, have a look at the ingredients, research it, because a lot of this stuff is proven to have some long-term major effects on your body and your health. Yeah. So just it's crazy. Not worth it, man. Just put some sunscreen on.
And the way I look at it, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if you're these guys, I see construction workers, right? Built in I'm surrounded, and where I live, there's just new buildings going up everywhere. So I always see construction workers everywhere. They're wrapped up in you don't see anything but their face.
Yeah,
right?
their eyes.
And their eyes. And I understand they're out in the sun all day. But then again, it's like, your skin is dark. You're going to be dark for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? I had a Thai friend of mine, Thai guy, said to me, he said, he explained it to me. He said, well, if you're dark skinned, it means you're out in the sun all day. But if you're, it's a class thing, right?
Yeah.
If you're white, lighter skinned, it means you don't have to work outside. You could be in the office. You have a nice office job. And I said, well, where I come from, if I could afford if I could be out in the sun all day, it means I don't have to fucking work. I can be on the beach all day.
Correct.
Right? While your ass is in the office.
Correct.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. I went to the beach last week. I was in Pattaya. I took a boat out to one of the islands. And again, people think I'm Thai. But I was, if I could have been naked, I would have been naked. But then you see all these local Thai people around you. They're at the beach wearing jeans, and they bring a hoodie to the beach, and they bring, a scarf. I saw a person with a scarf. I have pictures. You have to check this album out.
Yeah, I will, mate.
It's unbelievable.
No, I will. So I just log into your personal Facebook.
Yeah. I'll send you a link, and then we'll.
All right, and then I'll get in, because that will be hilarious. Now, I've seen some really funny things as well, and obviously that's not for everybody and anybody around the world looking at this podcast, but I'd love to see it, and it would be a classic. Buddy, I think we've come to the end of another one.
It's been fun.
I did tell you you're the first guy who has done a second podcast with us. Okay. So thank you for that.
Well, I'm looking forward to a third when I get back. I'm sure I'll have some things to talk about the States.
No, I'm sure you will, mate. Yeah. And hopefully, touch wood, there's no other airline accidents before we.
I will be flying a lot. Yeah.
Have the next podcast, because we do have some events before you do join us. Mate, just before we do sign off, one other thing. Again, I forgot to ask you this in the first podcast. The tragedy that happened in South America with the
soccer team,
the Chapecoense soccer team. I think
Brazilian, right?
Yeah, I think they were Brazilian flying to Colombia for some
tournament,
for some South American Cup final, and I'm not sure if the investigation is over, but they were talking about the plane ran out of fuel.
Right.
That's almost, again, if I can make an analogy to a car. In my car, the light will go. I always look at the fuel gauge, because I always like being on full.
Right.
But sometimes it gets to a quarter. Sometimes it creeps a bit lower. The light will come on very infrequently. Right. How do you run out of fuel, man?
I think it goes back. It could be, again, I'm not sure what the investigators have dug up yet. Were the pilots, aware of what was going on? Were they as alert as they should have been? Were the mechanical, were the gauges working right? Was there an electrical issue? I mean, I've been in cars before where I say to my friend, "Hey, you have no gas," and he's like, "Oh, it doesn't work anymore. Don't worry." Or sometimes it works. There's been times where I've been driving my car and I do get close. I am on E, and I have a little computer that tells me, you have 6 kilometers to go. You have 3 kilometers to go. But then I ask myself, how accurate is this? Because there are times where the light will go off and on, but then the numbers will change. I have 10 kilometers. It said I had 10 kilometers before, but then now it tells me I have 8, but then it went back up to 12. Is it an electrical issue? Is it, so there's so many things that could happen where the pilots didn't really know exactly how much fuel there was. It's like flying that Air France plane. They had no idea how high they were, how fast they were. They didn't know anything. They were flying a missile, basically.
So you take the Air France tragedy as an example.
Right.
You're in that cockpit, and the whole central nervous system of the plane fails.
Right.
So you're telling me you know nothing about anything.
Correct.
So you're doomed.
You're doomed. I mean, there's information that is relayed from the plane back to the ground, and then they can relay it back to the plane to you. But there's always a delay, right? Especially when you're out of satellite coverage or you're over the ocean. There's always a delay that's going on. You could always radio to a control tower and say, "Hey, what's my altitude? What's my speed?" They could tell you, but there's certain parts when you're flying over the ocean, or certain parts over the world where there is no radio communication. So if you're flying from New York to London, there is a certain period where there is no communication between you and the ground.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's no communication. There's gaps along the way. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So flying a 15-hour flight from Sydney to LA, there's parts along the way where the pilots have no communication with anyone. All they have is either their instruments or the information that is relayed. So if you're traveling at 400 miles per hour, it sends a message to the ground, to wherever Qantas keeps their computers. It logs it and then sends it back. So technically you could say, okay, I am traveling at 400 miles per hour.
So you've got a bit of a backup.
Right, but that 400 miles per hour at 35,000 feet was 30 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean,
so things could change. Right.
Outdated very quickly, especially if you're traveling that quickly.
That fast, right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but in terms of radio communication, there's sometimes where there's no radio contact with anyone. It's just that we're flying a flight at nighttime. It's kind of eerie sometimes, but we shut all the lights off. Like you could dim your dash lights on your car. Cockpit lights are just dimmed. We're pitch black, and the radio, it's just dead silence for a period of time. You're just you're in the middle. It's almost like you're lost in space. Imagine nothing around you, no contact. You have no idea where. Yeah. It's cool.
It's cool.
Yeah. Well, it's eerie, cool feeling.
It'd be freaky.
Yeah.
So you can't see a thing. You can't see a thing. Why do you dim the lights? Why don't you have the lights on?
Well, if
Put some music on.
Well, it's dark outside, right? And if you have the bright lights all the time, it becomes stressful on your eyes.
Oh, yeah,
right?
okay.
And also, when you dim the lights, it helps you see outside better.
Yeah, but it's pitch black, mate.
Well, pitch black. Yeah, true. Pitch black. But it's nice. You could see, if you could see stars, then it's a clear night. The weather's okay.
Right.
But we dim the lights just to make it more mood, calm, relaxed.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any music in there?
No, we don't have.
Are you allowed?
No, I've never heard of a pilot putting on music in the cockpit.
Why wouldn't they?
Well, radio, it's a safety thing, right? I mean, you have to be able to hear the radio, not get distracted by music. Can you imagine?
Well, if you've got one earplug in,
right?
You listen.
Oh, I'm sure pilots have done that. Yeah. If you play music on your iPad. No. I'm sure pilots have been listening to music before. Yeah, been listening to music before. One person always has to be on the radio. So if you're on the radio and I'm on the controls, right? We're just cruising and we know there's not much work to be done. I'm sure there's been pilots where pop in an earbud and will listen to music or listen to something. Watch, but
I'd probably encourage that. I mean, you imagine that pitch black, lights are dim. You don't like the light
I don't know.
you're flying.
I know
with.
I would zone out very quickly.
I would as well.
Yeah, I'd be watching, I'd be doing something or whatever, and I'd be missing, even if you're talking to me,
Hey, when you're traveling in sun, so broad daylight, I mean, I don't wear sunglasses often because I lose them.
Right.
So I don't really, and it's bad because I can sense that, you know, the sun really does play on your eyes.
Right.
So now I've started wearing them a lot more, but only when I'm driving. So when you're in the middle of the day, flying, sun, how bad is that? Do you have to wear special glasses to
Not
protect
special
your
glasses,
eyes?
but you have to have good glasses. If you know, you can't. I wouldn't suggest wearing the 200 baht Ray-Bans.
No.
But there are special pilot glasses that are sold that are stronger, have special UV protections, different lenses that are made for that. You know, now the cost of the difference between you know, a $300 pair of sunglasses to like I just have regular Ray-Bans that I bought. I think they're $150, $200.
Right.
And I use them and I think they're fine.
And they're okay.
And they're okay. But then you have special pilot's glasses that they might sell to pilots and say they're, you know, this level of UV protection, anti-glare, you know, this and that, for $500. I really don't think there's that big of a difference. On the plane, we have sun visors, which drop down and it's clear, so I could see straight through, but they're heavily tinted.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of pilots use that on top of the sunglasses.
It'd be pretty picturesque, middle of the day, or even at night, going over a city.
Beautiful.
It'd be very picturesque, wouldn't it?
There's another album, flying album that I have, that are pictures that are taken from the plane.
Yeah. I've got to get on your Facebook, mate. Is there anything
Actually,
else?
I'm going to send you. I have them on my phone. I'll send them to you on my phone too, so you can take a quick look at them too.
Yeah.
Some of them are just great pictures. I mean, I love flying over the city. There's nothing more that I like than flying over a busy city at night.
Yeah.
At nighttime, just flying over, you know, flying over London, flying over Dallas, flying over New York. There seems to be a sense of calmness that brings to me. You're so high up, and there's all this chaos down there.
We could put, to be honest, mate, we could put some of these pictures on our gallery. We've got a gallery on our website.
Yeah.
Right. So
flying nighttime is great, and there's so many if you're into like the space and universe, you see a lot of things. You know, I've seen meteor showers and all this other stuff. That could be a whole nother topic.
Yeah. Well, no, I'll just take a minute. We've got our website, right? www.peakme.net. We've just launched a gallery where people can purchase videos or pictures of different athletes, celebrities, people like yourself, different professions. So we could look at loading them up.
Yeah, definitely.
And people can have access to them. Obviously, maybe not the SMH website. That might piss a couple of people off and might be a little bit politically incorrect. But the flying pictures...
Yeah, all the aviation pictures are great.
Would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funnily enough, when we did our first podcast, and I was tweeting about it, we got a lot of responses, and I got a lot of followers that are in the pilot or in the aviation industry. So it's obviously a very interesting and intriguing topic for a lot of people.
Right.
So that'd be great to get on.
Definitely.
Buddy, it's been
as
a
always,
pleasure.
thank you so
as
much.
Always,
thank
have
you.
a safe trip back to the States.
Thank you.
You're actually working tomorrow. You're not a passenger on the plane.
No, I'm a passenger. So
you are?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm hoping for my first class seat.
Now, don't piss me off now. So what? Again, we can go on forever, you and I. But they fly you first class.
Right.
15 hours. Does that mean you always get first class?
If I'm on company business, they'll positive space me in a certain cabin. So
what
it's called positive space. So I'm not standby. Like if I go on vacation, I'm on standby, meaning I only get on the plane if there's space available, if there's a seat available.
That's fair enough.
And standby could also be in business, first class, economy. It depends. If a company says we're going to fly, I'm going there for training, so I'm on company business. I can't be standby because I have to get to where I got to go.
Right.
So if you're an employee and you're traveling on vacation with your son, and I'm on company business, and there's only one seat left, I'll get it before you get it, even though you're probably more senior than I am.
Well, business comes first.
Business comes first, and depending on how busy the flight is and where the flight load and the market of it, they'll put you in first class sometimes.
Okay.
So I went 2 weeks ago, and for the 15-hour journey, I was booked in first class. I was surprised. I didn't even know it. I was expecting maybe business class. Got on, and I had my first class suite. That's pretty cool.
Shower?
No shower on the plane. No
Really?
shower. But they gave me nice pajamas. I had a certain choice of color of pajamas I want. Slippers. There's a turn down service. So when you're ready for bed, they put the flight attendants will make your bed for you. Put a mattress. It's a adjustable air cushion mattress if you want it soft or hard.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. I flew to London with a business partner a couple of years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, and we went with one of the Middle Eastern.
Emirates, Qatar, Etihad. One of the middle. There's only like 3 majors.
Yeah, it's 3 or 4. It might have been Emirates.
Okay.
And they'd stuffed up the trip. The plane got delayed in Bangkok. We missed that.
Okay.
Then it meant we missed the connecting flight out of the Middle Eastern hub. Beautiful lounge that they put us up in there. Then there was another plane coming 4 or 5 hours later. And then that took us to Frankfurt, and from Frankfurt we went to London.
Okay.
Right. On the way back, we checked in, and we were flying business.
Okay.
Checked in, and they said, apologies for your mishap on the way over.
Right.
We're upgrading you to first class.
Nice.
And there was a shower. We had a shower.
There's only one plane, commercial aircraft, that has a shower on it. It's the A380, the double decker.
Yeah, which is which company?
Airbus.
Yeah.
Airbus A380. So if you're flying a Middle Eastern airline, all Middle Eastern, there's Emirates, Etihad, and Qatar that all fly that A380 that have it. So the first class is on the upper deck, and the shower's on the upper deck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was brilliant.
Yeah,
It was the most. I only took a shower, not because I needed to take
I would just
a
feel because
shower.
I'm on a plane.
Yeah,
Who else could
exactly.
Take a shower
Who
on a plane?
takes
I would
a
be
sh-
taking pictures and selfies.
No,
in the
exactly.
shower.
Yeah. Well, we weren't big into selfies back then, but I just took it for the hell of it.
Yeah.
It was freaky.
Yeah.
That was that. There was no turbulence, so you weren't knocking around. It was quite a big size as well. So had the shower, had a bed. Couldn't remember if it was inflatable, but it was a bed.
Okay.
It was literally you were sleeping.
Flat bed, yeah.
Yeah, flat bed.
Yeah. Big pillows, 2-3 pillows.
Huge, whatever you wanted, mate. Pajamas, didn't have a selection, but lovely flannelette pajamas. Great food.
Yeah. They're making it for the first class passengers. They're making it more of like a hotel experience.
Yeah.
Than
Mate, there was a bar. There was a bar. There was neon lights.
Yep.
There was we had one hostess to 2 people.
Right.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
But look, I'd hate to see how much that cost.
Oh, it's crazy to think of how much that cost. I mean, for a few thousand more, you could probably get a private jet.
You'd probably buy the plane, mate.
It's crazy. I know from New York to Paris, for example, on first class Air France, and their first class is somewhat nice. I know it could be anywhere about 20,000.
Wow.
Yeah, 15 to 20,000, depending on how you book it and where you get your ticket from. Yeah.
Gee.
It's crazy.
Unbelievable. Well, on that note, mate.
Great. Again,
Take
thanks
it easy,
so much for everything.
mate. Yeah.
We'll
Take
be
it
in
steady,
touch,
and
I'll see you next time.
yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Perfect.
All right.
Thanks.
See you guys.